Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 5 Soviet destroyer, Gnevny. It has 4 main guns, 6 torpedoes, 11 AA guns, a surface detection of 6.8 kilometers top speed, 38.4 knots, total health 13,900. For my modules, reduced crit chance on main battery and propulsion, better main battery accuracy. For my commander, situation awareness, faster turret traverse, superintendent, and advanced firing training. We are on the map fault line, and this is pretty much the Gremyashchy. It's just a little bit worse, and every single statistic that matters. We see an enemy Gnevny-class, and we're going to engage it. The guns are still as accurate and still as devastating as any other Soviet destroyer that has 130 millimeters. I'm very close to the Tier 6, and I can't wait. It's a very unique playstyle, and you can just see I'm unloading on this guy. Doesn't matter his angle. He has to basically hide. And we're in the middle of the map. We're clearly visible. Situation awareness is on screen. And that's just fine. The Soviet destroyer line, in particular, feels so comfortable with this particular setup that it's almost encouraged that you would take the attention of the enemy and try and do as much damage as you can at range. You're much like a avoidance tank in any other type of game. You don't have the health pool of a battleship to actually sustain through damage taken, but you have the ability to avoid the damage outright with the elusiveness of the line. Now, the rudder shift is worse. The gun rotation is comparable to the premium. The premium has better torpedo range. This has a little bit better speed, and it's pretty nice to get around the map and be unpredictable. You wield a lot of power over the ability to show yourself, engage the enemy, do damage, avoid taking damage, and then leaving the combat area, going to the completely opposite side of the map, and engaging those targets. You are very fast, and it only gets faster the higher you go. I'm at a Tier 5, and I'm almost 40 knots. Tier 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40, 41, 42, 43. Really, really fast ships. And we keep getting torpedoes coming our way. We're trying to get in range to take the Gnevny-class out. That's really the big threat here, and I can easily take him out. I missed with my first salvo. Missed with my second. Come on, get this guy. It's not that hard of a shot. Finally, we land some damaging shots on the enemy. Still could do a lot better, in my opinion. And at this point, I was still trying to get comfortable with this ship. I have played this ship much more since this game. I've kind of refined the strategy that I want to use for Soviet destroyers, and you'll start seeing more Soviet destroyers. You'll see the expression of that strategy. Suffice it to say, I always want to engage the target. I would like to kill the destroyers first, obviously. I would like to do damage to battleships. Cruisers are hairy, but you can definitely engage them. And you would prefer to be engaging your targets past 10 kilometers. I found that anything under 10 kilometers, it's pretty easy for the enemies to land shots on you. But once you get out to 10, 12 kilometers, it's very difficult for them to effectively land shots on you. And you can still land shots on these big ships that are sluggish in the turn, slow overall, easy targets, right? We're taking fire from an enemy Königsberg, and it's not really doing that much. Every once in a while, we'll take a shot, but we're surviving. We're taking their attention, and that's an important identity of the Soviet destroyers that I really think is interesting. You can't really do this in other destroyers. You can't be an escort destroyer for a battleship because you're no use next to a battleship, really. AA's garbage on the US and the Japanese. AA actually is pretty useful on these ships because you don't care if you're spotted. The one weakness is, of course, the range. And I could see a build with AA Express, but I wouldn't do that. The best thing that you can do is be a long-range support and just improve the chance of success for your teammates. It's one of the few ship lines that can actually get around the map very quickly. And I mean very quickly. You basically have range on the entire map based on the speed that you have available to you. when something like a battleship, they just have to sit almost stationary and engage the targets. At the complete opposite end of the map, where I can move to one side of the map and still have pretty respectable range. Friendly battleship is in the middle of the map, engaging 3 targets. We're trying to look for an opening. We would like to help take that cruiser out. You can see his health. He's about 1/3 of his hit points. And it's very reasonable, especially with AP, that we could use a check, of course. Yeah, why even waste the time? There's an upgrade available for these torpedoes. It literally only adds a single knot to the speed of the torpedoes. Doesn't change the damage, doesn't change the range. I'm not investing 4,000 XP for a single knot on a 4-kilometer torpedo. Yeah. But the Königsberg shows a side, and we got a little choppiness. But we're doing pretty good. We set him on fire. He shows a side. We switch to AP. We're going to try and engage at the waterline. He is not changing his heading at all. And we don't get a citadel penetration, but he's so low that we should be able to kill him with this salvo or the next one. And of course he's engaging. We took a little bit longer than predicted. That's one of the faults, I would say, of my playstyle. I kind of assume that the target's dead or this shot's going to do it, and you really shouldn't overextend quite like that, but it didn't punish us too much. Enemy Wyoming, he's already burning, and he does a lot of damage to us. That is a huge amount of damage. I believe he got a citadel penetration with HE, and that's scary. He's burning, he took a torpedo, hopefully a flood occurred. He's going to die. I'm going to try and assist. I don't want to steal, but a destroyer is a fantastic finisher because you have the rate of fire to follow up on a battleship. That's another key aspect of this. A destroyer fits well with a battleship in a support role. Battleship brings the damage, destroyer brings the rate of fire, and that is the most simple way to look at the marriage of these two classes, and I want to try and fully explore this, especially with, I believe 5.1 will introduce the Force Division spawn locations to be closer, so you can actually start off the map at a completely neutral stance and work with a teammate. You know, right now it's a little awkward because you'll be on the other side of the map. It'll take you like 5 minutes to work with them, but if you could start closely, you could finish closely, and that's really key. Friendly battleship dies, unfortunately. I can't put out fires. I can't help him in that situation. I'm just the one who helps close the deal on a target. I can't actually help take the damage from him. And I'm trying to move back. I see the Nicholas. I know there's friendlies there, but I just want to make sure that this Nicholas doesn't influence the aircraft carriers too much. Too many games have been ruined by a destroyer breaking the lines and annihilating carriers that are vitally important to success. Fortunately, we are able to take it out as a team. Good shot, friendly cruiser, and we can head back towards the enemy. And right now it's a pretty average game. A lot of blood has been spilled on the eastern side of the map, but we really haven't run into a situation where we were really in command of the game. Really just been an average player on the team, just filling a role, but that's not how we play these games, right? We look to carry. We look for moments where we can make a difference for our team. The game is very close, and now we're actually losing. So now we have to make something happen for our team. We know that there's a destroyer, 2 carriers, and 2 battleships left. Basically the same setup as us, except we swap one of those battleships for a cruiser. We see a lot of enemy aircraft, and I don't want to be spotted by the aircraft. I've got my AA disabled right now. It's not important that it's on. It's more important that I can be as silent as I can be, and I'm trying to move as fast as I can away from their direction, and of course they spot me. They get just close enough in order to see me, and it's both Japanese and American aircraft that were in the vicinity trying to move towards my team. It's not looking good. The battleship saw us for 3, 4, 5 seconds, and he's going to be aware that there's a destroyer in the... Of course, he should be aware that there is a destroyer in the area, and you don't want to go towards where you believe it could be. You kind of want to have assistance from your aircraft carriers. And he's not getting that. I don't think the aircraft carriers need to send every single aircraft into the area. And we're spotted. What's spotting us? It's no way it's that battleship. It has to be the enemy destroyer. And yep, sure enough, it's the enemy destroyer. You saw he popped up right next to the battleship. It makes sense why the battleship was headed in that particular direction. He didn't break off or change his direction because he had backup. Enemy dive bomber tries to bomb us, but it's really hard to hit a destroyer. And every time they get close to me, I try and be very evasive in that moment that they're attempting to bomb. We turn on our AA. No reason not to at this point. They see us clearly. Worst case scenario, we take one or two of them with us. Best case scenario, we actually completely annihilate the squadron, which that's not going to happen. Enemy destroyer broke off, and the friendly aircraft carriers have spotted his position. But everyone knows what's going to come. The aircraft carriers are going to take their aircraft and bring them away from the destroyer, and I'm going to lose this advantage that I have. And I'm considering... Why are you considering sending... Notser? Why the hell? You know, 99% of my plays have logic and reason, and that had none. Why did you send one of your sets on the right side of the island? We send our next set on the correct side, widespread, because it's a destroyer. We only need one to make contact, and one does make contact. But why would you? There is no logical reason for me to have sent one set of my torpedoes right of the island. Just none. Can't defend it, and of course, the dive bomber takes out our steering, so we have to use damage control. At the beginning I mentioned I'm running advanced firing training rather than Last Stand. Last Stand is fantastic, but for Soviet destroyers in particular, you benefit so much from that range increase that it's almost impossible to pass that particular skill up in the Soviet destroyer line. You are engaging near max range, and you're trying to minimize the chance of taking damage. You got to be far away from the target. The longer it takes the shell to travel, the easier it is for you to dodge. We see the enemy Vogue, and he's just sailing away. He's trying to sail away at least, but he's not going to get away. We have our speed boost, we have our guns. One of our 4 guns is knocked out, and that will constantly happen in every destroyer. But in it, oh yeah, we got a Citadel there. In particular, the Soviet destroyer line is rather annoying, especially the Tier 6. I am not looking forward to only having 2 turrets. 50% of my damage being taken out is not something I like. Japanese did the same thing. I hated those builds too. So we'll see how we do. Yeah, we got another Citadel. And we set him on fire. Now when he recalls, he's going to have to use damage control. And when you're given a chance to do damage, you do a ton of damage. A ton of damage. And you really need to keep those guns going. At this point, I didn't have basic firing training. I do now. I basically have the ideal build for the foreseeable future. Basic firing training, situation awareness, faster turret traverse, superintendent, and advanced firing training. That is the Soviet destroyer in a nutshell. And we got all these fires on this guy. He's so dead. He's unbelievably dead. Is it going to be the fire or the guns? The guns take him out. Okay. Enemy battleship was trying to move to support, but we weren't going to allow him to be in range to engage us. Once we've killed the carrier, we're going to head straight for him. We were successful in knocking out both the destroyer and the aircraft carrier. So we're just going to try and engage this Wyoming. The other aircraft carrier is just west of this Wyoming, and the Wyoming can see us clearly. It's not really a big deal. You, especially me in particular, I need to keep zoomed in on my target and watch when they fire. I'm one of those players that likes to zoom out, see around my ship, zoom back in, and you miss a lot whenever you're trying to dodge these incoming rounds. Thankfully, I was watching there, He misses completely, but I was in position to avoid it. And I completely avoid that other shot because he led too much. And that's really how you got to deal with these Soviet destroyers. Now, I'm talking about how I would play them. How would you defeat them? Well, I would get closer to them. And if you can't get closer to them, I would force them into a position where they're uncomfortable. And I think a destroyer is very uncomfortable against cruisers and other destroyers. So try and have them help you out if you're in a battleship. If you're in a battleship and he's firing at max range, there's really not a lot you can do to effectively take care of him because he's just so annoying. He's so hard to land your shots on him. Plus you get the long reload. I have played games where people have just screamed at how annoying it is for me to just shell their battleship at range. They can't hit me. There's no way in hell they're going to take me out. They have to have support. And it was an exciting game. We held the east. We basically clogged it up, denied any destroyers the ability to get in behind the lines, and you can see the devastation our team inflicted on the enemy. There's just so many ships on the east side. The Soviet destroyers are just, it's just so unique. I love it. Long range, high velocity rounds with the ability to maneuver your ship effectively to avoid most, if not all, incoming rounds. It's just a fun archetype. I'm glad they added a completely new archetype. They'll hybridize all the classes, they'll take away what's special about them, and this doesn't really feel that way. It's got a unique feel, and I love it. I hope future lines have just as much variety and uniqueness. It's cool. This Zuiho, what's his health at? I think he's so dead. I'm still not in range, by the way. I've used all my boost, and I find that I use my boost a lot more than my smoke with this particular ship line because I'm at long range. I don't need my smoke to avoid the damage. 3 kills, a couple fires, flood, 1500 base XP. Our 2 carriers did an awesome job of dealing with the enemy, and it was just a solid game. We did around 60,000 points of damage. Hope you enjoyed seeing the Gnevny. It's a worse Gremyashchy, but it works. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.